With the creator today, my buddy, my teammate from Team HT Innovations, the better half.
I don't know about that.
Better half in some ways.
We've got that's why we're a team. We got our pros cons, right?
Yeah. And today we're just going to talk about how did you come up with this concept? I'm going to start right there. How did you come up with this concept and why did you come up with this concept and what made you want to kind of do this?
I mean, I think obviously it stems back to 39 Hours, right? 39 Hours was, I mean, so much went into that, the first and the second season, so many memories and so much hard work. And that's a question that we get. I know you get it all the time. Anyone that's been involved is when's the next 39 hours?
Mhm.
And I've talked to Aaron about it and he said, yeah, Jay, you can run with 39 Hours and do another season, but it's like, I'm not going to do a season of 39 Hours without Aaron.
Yeah.
And that's why I was just like, I want to do the competition thing. I think there's a lack of competitions in North America on the multi-species side. So
Mhm.
it's like, let's do a competition, but I want it to have a twist from 39 Hours. I want something different about it. So that's why it was all in the same location. And it kind of came together how I pictured, right? Like buddies hanging out, people that I get along with that are low stress. That's the deal. That's what happened, right? I think you can pick a crew based on, social media followers and, different things like that, the online following. But like everyone's got crazy schedules. So it was just a mixture of everything. It was picking people that were relatively close together, you being the outlier of the whole thing, but everybody else, being based out of central Canada, it was easy logistically. People that I get along with, people that I knew were just going to be laid back and roll with the punches. And so there's a layer of it, right? Like this
I think
yeah.
one thing that the viewers don't know, I feel we haven't really said this. I think this is the first time we're gonna kind of talk about it. Is I feel like you selected me partly too because somehow inside you kind of knew that I needed you guys right now because I've been going through a lot of things. I lost my father to a car accident. It's the first time I'm ever talking about this.
Yeah, yeah.
And my mom's going through some health issues, so I had a lot of heavy life stuff. But I think that you kind of recognized that what I was going through, and as a good friend, you thought this was like a good thing for me to be involved in at that time. Am I right? You tell me if
I
I'm
mean,
that part of it, or you
yeah,
never
like
really
it
thought of
wasn't,
it that way.
I didn't ask you to join out of sympathy. I just
No.
thought that you value good experiences, right? Right. You just value a good time and knowing, obviously that this was going to be a special experience. I knew that it'd be a special thing for you too, flying up north. I knew you hadn't done that sort of thing. And it's just the type of thing where you're crazy enough that like I asked you last minute and it worked out for you, right? But I knew that we would fish well together. And
Yeah.
honestly, the more we fish together, the more time we spend together. It's like I appreciate spending time with you. I think I realized that I don't have the biggest personality, and that's also why I picked this group of anglers because I wanted to have big personalities that make for fun video too. And it's like I think you bring the personality as well.
But I do think there's a part of you that's so nice too. That's like, man, okay, this would be so fun with Taro. That's what you're consciously thinking. But the part of Jimmy's also like, I think Taro, this would be good for him too.
Well,
And
I'm glad
everyone,
that it's been good for you. Like, yeah, I think that's why we do it.
personally, I did need it. I was so busy and I had to rearrange my schedule, but I'm like, no, I gotta do this right now.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd be able to do it in the middle of summer, but that was amazing that you made it happen, right?
What do you think is the best attribute that you would say that our team had?
I mean, I think you're really good at complimenting what the other angler's doing. So I might be doing one thing, but you were always trying something else or keeping an open mind. I think we just complimented each other well, right? Like there's times where I was throwing a bucktail and you were trying flipping jigs for the pike and different things. Like I think obviously I have, more experience in the far north like that. And you took direction well and you didn't get offended. Some people get offended and they're like, I know what to do. But that's like me going down to Toronto and telling you what to do on the Great Lakes. That doesn't work, right? It's like I gotta listen to you. And when we're in the north, that's more so my stomping grounds, right? And you were down for it. You were still willing to, explore and experiment, but more so it's just like you
Yeah.
were like, hey, this is what we got to do. If this is where Jay tells me to cast, I'm gonna cast there. Because there's times where like I've butted heads in some tournament situations. I can remember one specific experience fishing with Aaron in a bass tournament, and we just kind of butted heads, and it came to the point where it's like, sometimes in a role there has to be a I don't want this to sound demeaning to your role on the team, but like there has to be a bit of a captain in that scenario, right? I'm not saying I'm always the captain. Like I say, if we go down to your neck of the woods, you're the captain, right? I'm listening to what you're telling me to do.
Sort of interrupt you, but in the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
token, I think that yeah, we're both able to recognize when to come in and out of that
yeah,
track.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? If we were rappers, we know when to come in off that verse and come out of that
yeah.
verse, and also talk about the verse.
Yeah.
you know, and say, hey, maybe you're right. This is what we're kind of seeing, and we kind of have a conversation and
Yeah.
try to go through those doors together. You
Yeah.
know what I
I
mean?
mean, at the end of the day, I don't want it to be like I was the captain and there's a captain, but it just like that's how the teams had to work out. That's the same way that like it worked with Michael and Aaron, right? Like in that situation. Everybody fished well together, right?
I
Like
love not being
team,
captain. Every day I'm
well,
a captain. You know what
exactly. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean?
But then you
I
focus
don't
on
even know where
fishing,
we
right?
are. I'm always have to know where everything is, where everything.
Yeah.
Put me in the tiller boat there, and I'm just like, I don't know where we're going, Jimmy. I'm like, maybe I do know, but I want Jimmy to think I don't know, so then he can be the captain again.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
No, it worked
saying.
out well. I was reading the comments and it was like, Jay says in the last 3 hours, you've been really serious, Taro. And then all of a sudden, Taro jumps in the water, like within
I
the same
know.
moment. It was so good.
Sometimes you got to change it up.
Uh,
But that bait was key. That was the thing that we discovered. Like day three, we kind of narrowed it down. That spinner, you were using that orange fidget spinner. We
yeah,
lost
yeah,
that, and we
yeah,
only had one that was kind of in that same realm that was working. And I was
yeah.
like, Jimmy's been smashing on this thing. Like, we need this. We got an hour left. Like, oh man, I'm going in.
Yeah. It was good. It just happened so fast. I still like, yeah, that was the
So
hardest I've
funny.
laughed in a long time.
Very memorable. In the moment, we lost two mics over it, and it was kind of painful for Jimmy. In the big, big picture, you'll always remember that moment.
Tarot teaches me not to sweat the little things, and that's something that I work with every day. Yeah, it's just not worrying about the little things, right? Like who cares about a wrecked mic? You know, we've got this memory now of Tarot and
That's
I
much
laughing,
bigger.
crying in the wall. Yeah, like
And you're
it's so much
teaching me
bigger.
to be organized. I think coming in this, I think I did talk with Tully about this a little bit, but I told him that one of the big things that my son's a big hockey player, so I went to this Maple Leafs camp he was invited to, and one of the speakers said, you know, one of the biggest keys to success in the NHL, in his opinion, was being easy to work with and not being like any type of headache or trouble.
Yeah.
What I'm
Yeah. And
saying?
that and that's
Make
why
it
and
easy.
that's why I picked that crew of people, right? It's
Yeah,
like
but I can be trouble with this organization. Like I know what bothers Jimmy. He loves to be organized. He's always on point. He's got his stuff always together. That's why you're successful in what you're doing, one of the hardest realms on the face of the planet, and you're doing so well. It's because of those traits, your organization, your on
well, I try to surround myself, with the right people.
and you have the
Obviously,
right attitude doing it. It's very hard. I thought, I gotta kind of try to be more organized for Jimmy. I knew you were stressed. You were thinking about
yeah.
you had so many camera guys to manage. Oh, I hope we're gonna catch big fish for this content. I want to make this
Yeah.
best content. I'm putting my heart and soul in this. And you're thinking about everybody. Is everybody safe? Your heart's so big. You're concerned about so many things, so many
I
moving
think
pieces.
as we move forward with the outpost, I think I will, and that's something that I'm working on in general, is just going with the flow.
Yeah.
There has to be a little bit of I don't know if I'll ever lose that uptight edge sometimes, because that is what I need to make sure everything gets done a
It's
little bit.
real. One of the commenters, I saw an interesting comment, and they said, "Oh, Taro doesn't seem like himself."
Mm,
And I thought that was interesting because I remember at that point you're kind of stressed in there. You don't know how this is going to work out. Are we doing well now? And I'm feeling your stress a little bit.
yeah,
I don't want to stress you out more. And I know what you're going through. I want to respect, what you're going through and understand that. So I took that on a little bit too. And I
yeah,
think respecting that difference between you and I and like trying to adjust a little bit to that side of things is
yeah,
what is our strong point of our team.
yeah.
Sometimes I need to think a little bit more like Jimmy, and sometimes Jimmy needs to jump in.
Uh,
What a great team and what a great memory.
it's interesting though. Like, yeah, I was watching episode 1 of season 2, just making sure it's ready to go for its launch in November. There, I guess it is November, but in a couple weeks. And man, there's some funny stuff in there. You got some good one-liners.
When is it coming out?
November 13th, that Wednesday. We're gonna do Wednesday nights, and we're gonna move it a little earlier. I got some feedback from my peeps in your neck of the woods, right? Because we've got the
Yeah,
1 hour time difference.
yeah.
So we're gonna move it to 7 on Wednesdays, and then we're gonna do the premiere. It's too bad you're not at the Winnipeg Ice Fishing Show, but the couple days before, we're gonna premiere episode 1 in front of like a live audience. So that'll be fun. You know,
Amazing. Wish I was there. I want to ask you another thing. What was the biggest moment that just felt like a little bit of a dagger? That negative turning point?
oof.
Fish
I
wise,
don't know.
there
I
wasn't
mean,
one. There wasn't
obviously
one.
that one walleye that was close to being netted, that one sticks in my mind. But then there's also a pike that we didn't really build up the pike too much. But there was one pike I lost that I think would have gotten us a daily point the one day,
Yeah,
which would have tied it. Then there's a
yeah,
pike I think on the second day, maybe on that weed bed where it
yeah.
ate, and it was like there was a small pike that day, or maybe it was the first day even. It would have gotten a daily point, and it didn't seem like much in the moment. But then when you look at it after the
There's
4
so
days, it
many
would
of
have been.
those now
Yeah.
that I'm going through these interviews and like holy. To me, the biggest turning point to me was the lake trout.
Yeah.
Story's funny. I'll tell you more of it. I just learned from Tully more of it. So they push us off the spot.
Yeah.
They come in there and get that 36.5. I'm like, okay, so that's bad. But I was like, oh, they tied us, right?
Yeah.
And then I find out
That it took
they
it.
got the
Yeah.
second biggest one. And that to me really was like, got me in a competitive mode. Like I was
Yeah.
happy
Oh, that was
inside.
tough.
Yeah, that was just like, oh, that fish was so key. I honestly, that fish that we had that was 37, they might have done the same thing.
Yeah.
36 and 3/4, you say. We measured it at 37. We did it legit with the foot
Yeah. Yeah.
close. We could make it touch 37. And Jimmy says, no, no, no. We're squeezing the tail bit. He's like super legit.
I don't regret how I measured it because Tully did the same thing. Oh, it's
Yeah.
37. Oh, it's 36 and 3/4. So it's like I'm just picturing how would I want it on the other side. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're buddies, and it's just like, yeah, we want to win, but we want it to be legit. So
I know it was super legit. Lucky Jimmy was producing it because if it was me, we'd be winning.
you would have
We would
won.
have won. The other thing I want to say is this is what I learned from Tully. So when we kicked Aaron off that spot, this is a big regret for me too, not fishing those fish. When they caught that pike and we said scatter off that weed bed, and they
Yeah.
caught
Why didn't we fish?
because you were so nice.
Yeah.
You were so nice after we got scattered and they just crush us, right? This is what the viewers got to know. Like, this is your personality. I couldn't believe it. They just caught a 35.
Yeah.
We're using these big bulldogs and we're snaking big fish with these tiny baits. I believe in Jay with this little fidget thing he's got going on. He's crushing it, doing little pitches in these weed beds. I think if anyone's going to snake a big one out of this, their whatever fish that they lost, what do they call it? The snap ring fish?
Oh, split ring cabbage.
Aaron lost this monster and the split ring opened up or whatever.
Yeah.
That was a perfect scenario. Come in with your little, little downsized, deadly little fish, right? So we don't
So
take
many-
that-
so
we
many
don't take
thoughts
that area.
afterwards,
We don't
right?
get the big fish. They snake us and burn us over there. You know what's even worse? That if we didn't push them off that spot, Mark said if we pushed them off there 5 minutes one way or the other, they wouldn't have came over there to push them to push to us.
Yeah.
Chain of events.
Yeah.
Isn't that nuts? So pushing them off, oh man, it messed us up.
It's tough to say because, right, it's like I don't want all the wild cards views on the last episode
It's
either.
so cool.
Yeah.
You're never safe. The only
Yeah.
thing that's going to make you safe is if you catch an epic monster every day.
Yeah.
Like an epic monster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Guys could be in bumland, but
Yeah.
they could come like storming back. What was the highest point of the event?
I don't know, just I think talking to everybody afterwards and heading home and just knowing that we accomplished something as a team, right? Like it's everybody's working hard. Yeah, we're going fishing, but we're also trying to make a good video. And I just appreciated how everybody put in such a good effort. And I think it shows in the video. And the comments were amazing. It's something I want to keep doing, right? It's an excuse to hang out with my buddies, with some of my closest friends, create memories, and people get to watch those. And it's like they're cool videos, and I think they're the type of video that you can watch again, right? You pick up something if you watch it another. And after watching this season, it's like, now for future seasons, like how can we do better, right? There's
I
always
have
room
so many great memories. It's the hardest question to put your finger on
Yeah.
one high point. One of my high points was just weird, is just watching Jig and Jimmy go to town.
on the walleyes.
Yeah. Jig hand with your VCR and your jig going. It was just like the videos don't even show
Yeah.
how this guy was just thrashing these walleye. It was just something to watch. I just love that jig head.
Yeah.
Boom. Boom. So fun. The big pike out of the weed bed you got on that fidget.
That was fun.
It was just epic, the short pitch and just seeing that fish. And then now another high point is when I go back to look at it, obviously.
Yeah.
And now I'm like editing it. I'm just so happy editing, looking at all the footage. Like I don't even care if I get 2 views or 20,000 views because I know I'm getting old. Like you said, I'm as old as what? Orlando Bloom.
Yep. Who are the other people?
John Cena.
John Cena was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I googled people that are the same age as Taro, and we got some other celebrities.
So that age is giving me the appreciation, and I can foresee like the future. When I look back at this, I'm gonna really say this is a high point in my life.
Yeah.
Even when I was there, I knew, just like really focused on knowing this is a high point of your life.
Yeah.
Didn't know that before when we saw it 39 hours and all that stuff. Didn't really.
Well, we didn't know what we were making, right? And now it's like we know we're making something bigger than ourselves, hopefully, right? And
In worst case, we got the best memories captured on film.
exactly. That's
Like a moment in time when our lives are even more chaotic, and you've seen like more heavy things happen and good things, and all kinds of things.
Then you appreciate
But
these
you
moments.
see things like this more clearly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. you know, to have a charity tied to the end of it's cool too. So there's like a, you know, a little positive for the winning team and for all of us, right?
Yeah, you pay it forward. That's a good thing, Jay. Tell
Yeah,
me so
so I don't
much.
know. We're just lucky to be able to go on these trips, and I have to pinch myself all the time. And the fact that Ganglers and Travel Manitoba stepped up, and we got to bring 9 people. Like originally, Ganglers was like, "Hey Jay, do you want to film at the Outpost?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but can I bring 9 people there?" And they're like, okay, sure. What do you have in mind?" And they just had full trust. That's pretty cool.
Unreal. You must be happy.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was texting with Ken Gangler, the owner, and he said this is like, you know, one of a kind. So he's pumped.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
And now, when does the next series drop?
November 13th,
At what time?
7 o'clock Central.
On ice?
There's 4 episodes, so it'll be Wednesdays. So it'll be, well, let me look at the calendar. It'll be November 13th, 20th, 27th, and then December 14th is the finale. On ice, Uncle Mark's Outpost, Lake of the Woods.
How many species are there?
Well, it's broken into categories, so it's different. There aren't daily points. There's pike, walleye, lake trout, bass, crappies, perch, whitefish, burbot. I think that's it. I think 8 categories.
This is going to be
Stay
good. Do you
tuned.
know who's in it? Or can you say?
Soon.
Stay tuned, folks. Thanks so much, Jimbo.
Thanks, buddy.
I love you.